Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are in the midst of potentially the closest Heisman race in college football history between Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter. Now, we know that both of these guys have had absolutely incredible seasons, and if they weren't going up against each other in years past, they would without a doubt win this award, and it's such a bummer that they do have to go up against each other. But it's time to pick a winner. Who is going to win this award? And there's so many different ways you can look at it, and no matter who wins it, a lot of people are going to be upset. On one hand, you have Ashton Jeanty, who is putting together one of the best running back seasons in college football history. We all know that he has led the Boise State Broncos into the college football playoff after winning the Mountain West Conference Championship, and Jeanty has been the catalyst, the workhorse of this team, and his stats are Madden-like. Literally, 344 carries for almost 2,500 yards and 29 touchdowns. Now, only a few other guys in college football history have ever put up numbers like that, and you can look across the board. They have all won this award, and I think a lot of people are using that as the case for Jeanty potentially winning this award. Looking at his stats, he is only 131 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' single-season FBS record, and his 29 touchdowns rank 6th all time. And a lot of people want to discredit these stats. They want to say, well, look at who Jeanty has played. Jeanty has done this in the Mountain West. He didn't do it in a real Power 4 conference like Travis Hunter did. I am in a complete disagreement with that statement. Now, sure, they may have not had the stiffest competition as a guy like Derrick Henry, who had similar stats to Jeanty, saw in the SEC. But guess what? They saw the number one team in the country on the road in the Oregon Ducks, and Jeanty had 25 carries for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. And we saw him put up these types of stats against virtually every single opponent. So I don't want to hear that he only did it because he played in the Mountain West or because he didn't play great competition. UNLV was ranked 20th in the country when they saw him in the Mountain West Championship. He had 32 carries for 209 yards and a touchdown as well. Jeanty proved time in and time out that he could do this against some of the best teams in the country. Look at Oregon State. He had 37 carries for 226 yards and a touchdown. UNLV, the first time they played, 128 yards and a touchdown. Washington State, 259 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jeanty has proven that he can do this no matter against who he plays, no matter if it's Hawaii or no matter if it's the number one team in the country in the Oregon Ducks. I think that's a very lame excuse as to why Jeanty doesn't deserve more credit for the numbers and historical stats that he is putting up, because I believe he's putting together such a magnificent Heisman resume. And of course, you have to look at the Broncos making the college football playoffs. It would be foolish to say that Jeanty was not the main reason why this team was so great and was winning so many ball games. They only lost to Oregon by 3 points, and the rest of the year they really looked dominant. This team went 12-1. They won the Mountain West Championship. They placed higher than 2 other Power 4 conference champions in the Clemson Tigers and Arizona State Sun Devils. So I think that also is another massive notch for Ashton Jeanty as to why he should potentially win this award. But now let's look at Travis Hunter, who I believe should win this award. I believe that Hunter is an alien. He is a unicorn, and what he can do is unbelievable. Now, I want to start with a stigma that's been given to him that snaps aren't a stat. I am going to completely disagree with that, because if you're going to sit here and say that snaps aren't a stat, let's look at what he's doing with those snaps. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball. We all know that he plays cornerback and wide receiver, but as a receiver, he had 14 touchdowns that ranked number 1 in the Power 4 conference. Not to mention, he also had 1,100 receiving yards, which ranked 3rd in the Power 4 conferences as well. Now you want to say, okay, let's look at what he can do on the defensive side of the ball with all of the snaps that he is putting up. Well, he had, according to PFF, a 90.9 coverage grade that ranked 3rd among all corners in the entire country. Not to mention, he also allowed a 42 passer rating when quarterbacks would target him, and that is 9th in the entire Power 4. So I don't want to hear anything about how snaps aren't a stat. Guess what? He is playing so many snaps every single game on both sides of the ball, but that doesn't discredit his his effectiveness on both sides of the ball, because Travis Hunter is the best two-way player we have ever seen in the sport. And I think that's what makes it so discouraging for Jeanty, is because he's having a historical season. But at the end of the day, college football's never seen a guy like Travis Hunter who can do both at such a high level. Not to mention, he can go into the NFL draft this year, which he's going to, and he can play wide receiver or corner and be drafted inside of the top 5 at both positions. I think you look at all of those stats that I summed up on both sides of the ball, combined with the effectiveness at which he's doing so, combined at the competition he's playing in a Power 4 conference. Now, I know they didn't make the college football playoff, but they were still 9-3, had a massive turnaround, and Travis Hunter was a major catalyst along with Shedeur and along with Coach Prime for this massive turnaround in Colorado. So sure, they didn't make the college football playoff, but it would be foolish to say that this team didn't have similar success as to what Boise State did. I think if Colorado is in the Mountain West, we could also be having a conversation about them right now potentially being in the college football playoff. So I think it's unfair to write off Travis Hunter in terms of how his team did success-wise, but at the end of the day, Ashton Jeanty has a phenomenal case at winning this award. Travis Hunter has an even better case, in my opinion. And I think the odds makers for different sports books agree with me. He is a very heavy favorite to win this award right now. And I'm sure Ashton Jeanty is going to have a point to prove in the college football playoff. He gets that first round bye, and who knows, he might go absolutely bananas and prove to everybody that, hey, I don't care about the Heisman Trophy because we're competing for a national championship. And I'm sure that's the mentality he's going to take into this. But at the end of the day, I look at Travis Hunter, look at his effectiveness on both sides of the ball, what he's doing as a lockdown corner, what he can do coming up and meeting a running back in the hole and forcing a fumble in overtime, winning his team a game, what he can do on the offensive side of the ball, running every route on the route tree, mossing receivers, going up for 50-50 balls, getting 3 touchdowns in a singular game. It is unbelievable what he can do. And obviously Ashton Jeanty is capable at any point of putting up 200 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. But I think a lot of people, because ultimately the people in the media are voting on this award, but I think a lot of people are maybe not giving him the benefit of the doubt because of the competition he saw in the Mountain West. Both of these guys at the end of the day had historic seasons, and any other year, I absolutely believe Ashton Jeanty or Travis Hunter would win the Heisman Trophy winner. But for right now, I'm choosing Travis Hunter to be this year's Heisman Trophy winner. I'm Caden Kubler, and thanks for watching.